Well, thanks, guys. You're right. It goes so fast. 42 minutes when you're like having a conversation.
It does, but it's good to have just a hard cutoff.
Yeah. It's funny because I think after the fact, when I started digging into the book, that's when I realized, I like this more than I want to let myself.
Yeah, once you sort of let it sit in your mind, you'll start thinking about it, I think, and just certain moments will come back to you, and maybe one day you'll decide to try to read it again, and it becomes, I don't know. That's the great thing about books, is that they're really made to be read again and again, and once you read them a second time, like Infinite Jest, you need to read it twice to really get the full experience, and I think this book really rewards revisiting it at a different time in your life.
The problem I have with Infinite Jest is I really think that it's kind of a young person's book because of those footnotes. I have so much respect for the footnotes, but at the same time, I could not imagine doing that again. You know?
Uh-huh. And I thought about your description of the Infinite Jest being a young person's book as I was reading about this book, about the recognitions, because he was 32 when he wrote it. Like, man, he was young and vigorous when he...
Was he 32 when he wrote it, or when it was published?
Oh, good question. I don't know.
Because I think he was born in 28, and it came out in 55, so wait, that would be 12. No, that's not right. I don't know.
I think that's right, though. He's born early 20s.
He was born 22, not 28, 22, so that was...
33?
33. Yeah, but he had been writing it probably since he was about 27 or so. So yeah, but your point stands. He was a young man, and the same with Infinite Jest. Wallace wrote that when he was in his late 20s.
But I'm just saying that.
And yeah, it is a bit of a young person's book.
Well, you have when you don't have a house full of kids and you have like hours of time to read, right? Then you can play the game of. I mean, like I remember being lost in those footnotes for days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I had multiple bookmarks all over that book. Just to get.
In that sense, it's the one way in which it anticipated the internet.
Yeah, no, it's an incredible book. And like we were saying, it anticipated... Oh, you weren't there. It anticipated Skype.
The whole video.
Yeah, I was joking with Doug about that, yeah.
And then it anticipated, like, Snapchat filters.
Alex, the dioramas and the things that people would...
to avoid having their real face being shown on video. Yeah, I know. That's hysterical. And the whole idea that ties into recognitions, because it's the first line of
Camilla says that too.
Has always enjoyed masquerades. The exact moment when the mask becomes reality or something like that, and that's what Infinite Jest. Everybody wearing masks.
Right. But then it's the seeking the ultimate entertainment that kills you, which is kind of... I mean, so now we have Facebook in trouble for fake news that elected the president.
Yeah. It's...
Zuckerberg says no.
No more fake news.
I know. Several of my favorite websites have now been put up on that fake news thing.
You have to eliminate CNN from the list if you're going after fake.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
So that's interesting because Facebook is often referred to as a news site.
That's crazy.
Where do you get your news? Oh, I get it from Facebook. But it's interesting because it's like, well, that's where they go to get their news, but that's not where the news is coming from. The news is, whoever is sharing it or whatever the people in their feed share that Facebook links 3 things underneath to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a healthy system of information dispensing.
Mimetics and...
what was I gonna say? We were talking about. Well, recognitions. Just to get back to that whole topic. I want to. I kind of want to read the very final paragraphs of it, just real quick. Just 2 paragraphs. This is when Stanley he's finally got to his final destination at the church. He sits at the organ.
Before you do that, and I want you to do that, what did you make of the last bit of the book when it's on the boat?
You're gonna have to remind me.
Well, it just felt like we were at sea for so long, and it was just such a different. I mean, so at that point, and we didn't even mention this.
Yeah, okay,
there's a point in the book where Wyatt loses his name. He loses his identity. We know that it's still Wyatt, but
that
yes.
Out.
Does he? Is that when he comes and he meets Wyatt and
I think it's the forgers traveling with him or something, and they're getting him to. He wants him to create a mummy that'll pass as an ancient relic.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's so dark. Yeah. I did not truck through the whole thing this time, so.
I'm just saying that. So that's a much different ride towards the end too.
It is. One of the things that really has stuck with me is the scene where Wyatt goes back to meet his father late in the book, or maybe it's in the middle, and it becomes this sort of stream of consciousness, very abstract and psychedelic thing where he has this some kind of nervous breakdown or almost hallucinatory experience, where he finally treks out to reunite with his father, who has become a Mithraic cultist. I don't know. I wish I had.
Well, that culminates, I think, in this weirdness with the bull and his cousin or whoever is the. There's a young girl in the house who never got married.
Yeah, you're talking about his dad, right? Oh no, but then when he visits again, that girl is still there.
I think. I might be confusing things. His return, and there's something. Oh, maybe that after his son leaves, the father has a total meltdown, and he, that's when the new priest Gilbert Sullivan comes to town or something. Reverend Gilbert Sullivan. Read Stanley's paragraphs.
Okay. Let me find it again. 1 second. Okay, so here it is. When he was left alone, when he had pulled out one stop after another, for the work required it, Stanley straightened himself on the seat, tightened the knot of the red necktie, and struck. The music soared around him. From the corner of his eye, he caught the glitter of his wristwatch, and even as he read the music before him, and saw his thumb and last finger come down time after time, with 3 black keys between them, ringing out fourths, the work he had copied coming over on the Conte de Brescia, ringing that chord of the devil's interval from the full length of the 30-foot bass pipes. He did not stop. The walls quivered. Still he did not hesitate. Everything moved, and even falling soared in atonement. He was the only person caught in the collapse, and afterward, most of his work was recovered too, and it is still spoken of, when it is noted, with high regard, though seldom played. And that's the final lines of the book. And I just want to sort of point out, too, that, I don't know if people have 9/11 fatigue or anything, but this whole notion of a collapse of a building resonates with me with the whole 9/11 thing, and in certain circles the idea is that Kubrick had some kind of hand or involvement or recognition, no pun intended, of that event. And the phrase ringing the chord of the devil's interval, where as good old Mark LeClaire had always compared Stanley Kubrick to Satan, and the name Stan and Satan having very similar kind of arrangement of letters. And then I don't know. It just seems to me to be really resonant with these sort of synchronistic or synchromistic ideas of that event and of 9/11 and the collapse of this basically this cathedral of high finance, but still a sort of cathedral as a sort of end of the world or transition point. And I think it's no coincidence that this character's name is Stanley in this event. I don't know if that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for. Wow. I re-listened to it once again, but hearing it once more. Wow.
Yeah, it's the Devil's Interval and what was that other? Oh, and the glitter of his wristwatch, which implies time, and the tick-tock of time, and which is sort of Saturn related, which is Saturn is Stanley, is Satan, is etc. And music, and of course, is basically mathematics in time, in these intervals of time. So these themes that just are constantly on my mind, just express themselves in this book, which is seemingly unrelated, but and that seems to be more common than pretty common in these studies.
What did it do to you? I don't know. So what's interesting about what it feels like we're like 1 week into a much different world.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so it's interesting to have kind of finished this book in this new world.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's true or not. I think it is, though. It's funny because I think the book itself resonated more during the campaign, because the campaign was part of my description of this book was kind of noisy. It was all these different characters, all this different activity, and it was hard to find the meaning in it because they were just all expressions of, maybe it was ego on some level, a lot of them. And so for me, that really resonated with the campaign. But then, after the campaign ended, then I don't know. I feel like I want to read, The Man in the High Castle again more.
Yeah. Well, with Man in the High Castle, that's explicitly about where there are two worlds, two different dimensions, basically, that are kind of bleeding into one another. And you might even say, instead of dimensions, you might say timeline.
Yeah.
Like, which is a big Dick's work, is just the manipulation of time and the idea of different timelines. And to me, I get pretty out there with my theorizing about things, and it almost feels to me as though this election it's like we've just entered a new timeline. Like the original timeline was just, Hillary wins, business as usual, but instead the extremely unexpected result happened, and everybody's sort of losing their minds about it because they're so unsure of the future and what it will hold. And to me, it's sort of, if such a ridiculous sci-fi idea as timeline manipulation is true, what it would make sense to me, the reaction of people if they had because if you think of time as whatever they like, as a flat circle or whatever in True Detective, where time is a set thing, it's like it's like a record being played, and you skip the needle or whatever to different points, but the tracks are all there, and we're just kind of going through it. If suddenly that track were completely changed, and the sort of unconscious part of everyone who was expecting the future that they were promised suddenly gets just ripped away from them in favor of this new reality or timeline, I'm sure it makes sense to me that people would react with just total fear and trepidation and suspicion and worry, which is really what I feel like we're seeing. You could also argue that just the president they just got elected is a fascist or whatever, and so that's why everybody's afraid. But I think that personally is not my opinion. I think there's more going on than that.
Well, but, and then the Back to the Future stuff.
I mean, Back to the Future. I mean, we've been inundated with this idea of time travel, or time manipulation.
I think
through media.
There was a show not long ago where, Will asked, "What does synchronicity have to do with time or time travel?" What and I couldn't answer it at that time, but I think the answer is synchronicity transcends time and place. It's the thing that connects. You mentioned The Arrival earlier. The interesting thing about that was their language transcended time in that there was no beginning and end. It was all happening. So like when one of the creatures, I'm totally spoiling, so walk away or look away, folks. But Abbott is in the death process. It wasn't, the creature didn't say, the heptapod, Abbott is dying or Abbott has died. There was no. It was time is a process.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly it was dead, but they don't perceive time the same way that we do.
I remember I heard once that the Egyptians didn't have a word for death; they just called it westing, which was like I wondered if the correlations to Westworld, but it was just the death process that was the moving to the other.
Also, Pepe the Frog and the whole cult of
oh my god!
Where apparently 4chan has invoked the spirit of an Egyptian deity at the end times. I don't know, maybe that's unrelated, but
oh god, that's so trippy.
Well, Arrival blew my mind because
Arrival came right with Trump too.
Yeah. Well, and don't forget Doctor Strange. This whole thing happened. November 4th, Doctor Strange came out. Did you see Doctor Strange, Doug?
I did not.
Okay. Well, do you mind slight spoilers for that?
No, I don't mind.
Okay. Some people do. Well, basically, the whole plot of that hinges around his ability to. He creates a time loop using his magic to entrap this other dimensional entity that's about to take over the planet, and he traps it in a time loop such that the time loop is him basically being killed by the entity. Every time the entity kills Doctor Strange, it just resets, and he has to kill him again, and it just never stops. And he uses that as a bargaining chip to basically get the entity to leave Earth alone. And the reason he does that is because this entity comes from a place that is, quote, outside of time. And so in order to fight him, he goes into the entity's dimension and brings time with him. So the entity has no control over time. And so that was November 4th when that movie came out. And then the week later, in between, Donald Trump gets elected, and then we have Arrival, which is about us or humans gaining access to this alien language, which transcends time. So again, it's just this barrage of media, and then don't forget Westworld and all of that, which is apparently, there's lots of speculation that Westworld involves differing timelines. And that's running concurrently with all of this. So yeah, we're just being inundated with these tropes of time travel, time manipulation.
I'm seeing the pictures of like Trump meeting dignitaries, but not, like in Trump Tower, and you look at the room and the chairs and
Isn't it so ridiculous?
It looks like Dynasty or something, right?
Yeah, he looks like
he's behaving more like a king than a president.
In the tower. It's just in the tower.
In the tower.
So...
Isn't it on the 66th floor too, or am I making that up? I seem to remember that his apartment is on the 66th floor of Trump Tower.
But it's amazing to me because the Tower card is about it's I want to say it's the ego. It's like our construction that needs to collapse to get to reality. Talking about what's real. The ego has a purpose, but at the same time, you can't. We elevate it to the point. I mean, so it's amazing. The ego, we're moving it from the penthouse to the White House. But it's gotta fall apart. That's the nature of it. I think that's one of the reasons why some people kind of get giddy. It's like they're ready.
Yeah.
They're ready for it to come.
I mean, they call him a wrecking ball. I mean, he might come in there and the end result in 8 years might be we don't have a president. Somebody said, I don't know who it was, but somebody, kind of like we have a pope who has been prophesied 600 years ago to be the last pope. And here we are on the last pope, and now we get Trump as president. So I don't know what's going on. And that's the nature of the Tower card, right? Which is 2016, as you pointed out. But it's the destruction of all we know. It's institutions crumble, and then we get the star. So I'm looking forward to next year. Honestly, I'm optimistic. I go against the grain constantly, but I'm looking forward to what's going to happen. I think things are going to be okay. But yeah, to clarify, his penthouse suite is on the 66th floor of Trump Tower, and of course it's all decked out in gold, and gold is the sort of metal, of the sun, and so with the sun is the sun. When you look at the Babylonian sun square, where each row and column add up to 666, so you have the sixth floor penthouse decked out in sun regalia, which the sun is 666. The symbology is just overwhelming and hard to believe that it's not sort of intentional on some level.
When Wyatt goes back to see his father, I think that is really an allusion toward like this journey of the sun, how it goes underneath and then comes up. So it's like it's the rebirth of the sun, but it's how they explained it. So like the idea that the sun was on a train, so there was this really interesting connection between the way I think it was the Egyptians described the process and then how Gaddis wrote it. I feel like I could get a lot more out of the book if I spent more time with it a second time. I just can't imagine doing it anytime soon.
In this world we live in now, which is so fast-paced with information, and I find it very difficult to read anymore. It's really depressing, although I'm trying to get better, but it's just hard. really hard to slow your mind down and just let yourself kind of be taken away into a different sort of space. But really, I don't know if there's any better way of, and this is what like David Foster Wallace always said, is that it's sort of like good practice for like empathy, where you learn to like enter another person's mind and have a deep conversation with someone else in a way that's basically not possible any other way other than writing and reading. I think it's important. It's just hard. It's just hard and harder than ever. Yeah.
Okay, well, here's a question for you, Dennis. Do you think, after attempting a big, giant book like that wasn't, I mean, it was difficult, but it wasn't impenetrable? Yeah, impenetrable. Whereas Joyce is often described as more impenetrable. Would you be willing to attempt Ulysses in the Spring, or does that sound...
I already got the audiobook and the book to do that. I like that idea. I feel like we're setting a good standard for trying to take on things that maybe you wouldn't normally
do alone. Yeah,
be hard to do alone. And I appreciate the big things that we've big works that I've been wanting to bite in and just. Yeah, I'm into it. I'm all for it.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm for it. But I think a short one to get a few more other people in the conversation would be really great because yeah, I don't know. Or I mean, I know with our friends like SJ and Talitha, I mean, they have really busy stuff going on. I mean, as I'm sure do you guys, because this was almost impossible to do given the time period that we're doing it in. But yeah, a shorter book would be kind of fun in the short run.
Yeah. So I think it is The Shining. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
I think that'll speak
I would
to.
like to be a part of.
Yeah. Well, wonderful. Yeah, that'll speak to. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about the nature of our country.
Oh, well, speaking of the nature of our country, it's really funny to hear that portion in the book where the kid is misspelling the was it the national anthem?
Oh, yeah.
In audiobook form, that was really great because it was just really, really funny. Do you remember that, Doug?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like I said, that was the kind of like the ending part, which was more. It was more surreal for me for some reason.
Yeah, it was very surreal for sure.
I wish I remember that part.
Well, it feels like if the book was about the recognitions, things became more and more unrecognizable. I mean, so the main character lost his name, and it just felt like they were lost. You know, what are they? Where are they even going, and why are they doing these things?
And that is a question that no one has an answer to, quite. Not in the book and not in our world, really. It's all very confusing. And there are different perspectives, and everybody is constantly trying to just barrage you with their own ideas of what is happening. And I don't know, I think you just have to rely on your own judgment. I think that's something I need to learn.
Yeah. it's funny that you brought up, or it's interesting that you brought up empathy a little bit ago, as through Walsh's comments about getting in someone's head through reading, because I was speaking with Kurt yesterday, and he thinks that Westworld really screws with people's feelings of empathy as it relates to land. That
Screws with the show, screws with people.
Yeah, that's
in terms of like in a nefarious way.
He kind of thinks that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. The show does give. I was very disturbed by the last episode and the murder that occurred and the reveal of that character. That was very, and yeah, I don't know. That seemed.
Yeah, it was pretty disturbing.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I don't feel like it was unjustified, but it was. I don't know. I wonder where it's going. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then there are these rumblings. Doug's probably out of the loop here, so I feel bad talking about this. But rumblings that the man in black, Ed Harris's character, is actually William.
Yeah.
Which
I think that's totally legit. Yeah.
Yeah. It might be. And
you don't like that, or you're not into that? No.
I'm not into the idea.
Are you into that idea or no?
Into it. I mean, I think I see it as plausible. It's kind of, yeah. No, I'm into it. I just have to see how it plays out, but because the Man in Black has been the most compelling.
I feel like the justification for that is that okay, so William. Oh, it's too much. Maybe it's too much, too wonky of a discussion but yeah. Anyways,
do it. Go for it. Do it.
Well, okay. So William is marrying into the family that is buying a percentage, or is it percentage investments of investors already in Westworld, and he's marrying into the family, and then later the Man in Black is approached and by another one of the guests, and he says, thank you so much, your foundation saved my sister's life. And his response is, I don't talk about real world stuff, I come here to experience this.
I'm on vacation.
Yeah, I'm on vacation. Well, I think it's because he is exploring it as a healing, as entering it as a healing device, and as a means to reintegrate fragments of your own persona. And so he's actually entered it in two different times, and the healing part, I'm just, my speculation is that it has, because there is, that's my speculation, but
yeah. He's looking for the center of the maze, right? And the maze is, he finds it first literally on the underside of the scalp of one of the hosts, one of the robots. And what is the maze? It's the labyrinth, and what is at the center of the labyrinth, I think, is yourself. It's the path to your own soul, and that's what William says when he says that I figured out what this. I always thought this place was an escape from your real life, but now I see that it reveals who you really are.
Exactly.
And then of course there's this. I don't know if it's a 30-year, something about 30 years got mentioned, but 30 years is, it's Back to the Future. It's the movie Looper has 30 years.
To Westworld for 30 years.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
It's crazy. And then there's the whole Nathan Crowley connection, which is just a trip to consider.
Yeah, Crowley. And I mean, it's Jonathan Nolan, who, he's Christopher Nolan's brother, who's one of the main writers. Like, I mean, I can't stand Christopher Nolan movies, but I like this one a little more. But it's still that same. I feel it's that same kind of cult, of Hollywood cult. That's sort of pushing some kind of agenda. And I can't figure out if it's good or not, but it's certainly interesting. It certainly got my attention.
Yeah, I know.
And I mean, just the narrative that of characters waking up to a false reality, to the reality that they've been given is a lie, and I feel like that's what we are doing as a species. And I mean, that's what cryptocubrology is all about, is kind of exposing this, kind of showing how everything is a setup, and there's too much perfection in its design to be just this random concurrence of events to be, we are in the maze, and there are walls, and there are different aspects of the maze, but we're all kind of walking our way through it, and as a species, we're being led through it, it seems, via the media. And by media, I mean everything from Westworld to CNN, because it's all of a sort of a piece. It's all virtual. But
there was late in the recognitions, there was a reference to some disease or something, an ailment that was called labyrinthia or something, and then it just seemed funny.
That's hilarious.
Mm.
And I remember in the very first chapters when they're talking, they're the household servant who is like, it's revealed that she's been like taking doses of liquid mercury as a sort of, I don't know, healing agent or whatever. And of course, we know mercury is a poison, and mercury comes up again and again in these. I mean, there's mercury everywhere in our environment, and in vaccines and all that stuff. So, and there's an alchemical element to that, where mercury is one of the three alchemical elements. So again, it's like this book. It just taps into every single little aspect of the maze.
Yeah.
Yeah. How you doing, Doug?
I'm starting to crash.
Right.
Yeah. In terms of tapping into something, there was a description that really, I mean, it was like the combination of the truth that an artist can find with the art is like the same as, the transcendent religious feeling that is the true nature of what being alive is all. It was like the kind of numerosity that Wyatt was really trying to find. And what did he say? So the reason why he never finished his painting of his mother is because the possibility of perfection was still there.
Yeah.
It once.
Well, and so
yeah.
That's why I don't ever finish books. I don't ever finish, or rarely, because I think it's unconscious, but I'm like, I can't. I always want there to be more, or of some kind, of some. I don't know. Yeah. No, that's great.
I'm curious in terms of Gaddis as the author, though. Like, if we did a little poking, would we find, did he have a mother? Is he Wyatt? Which of these characters are projections of himself?
He definitely did have a mother. I'm sure. I mean, I don't know. I can't say with any certainty, but I would. It's a bit like Joyce with Ulysses, where Bloom and Daedalus are are two aspects of himself, of Joyce, where Bloom is the family man and Daedalus is the artiste, intellectual, and in the end of the book they kind of meet up. And I think, Wyatt and Otto and Stanley and probably the Basil Valentine and Rectal Brown and these people are all just aspects of himself and his own experience. There's a whole book that of his letters that was published a couple years ago, which sheds some light on it, although I haven't read it all. So it would be worth reading or picking up at a bookstore and looking through if you want to learn a little bit more about his life. He was kind of a straight edge kind of guy. Like I said, I think you said that he, after this book failed, he basically went to work in the corporate America, and then he spent another 20 years writing his follow-up book, which is JR, which is twice as difficult and dense to read, and is probably 80% dialogue, unattributed dialogue, but is also fascinating and totally prescient. I don't know. He's an interesting guy. And then he had another book after that, which is a very short book called Carpenter's Gothic, which is about a CIA, something to do with the CIA, which is kind of an interesting.
I saw an interview about that book. I'm very interested. Yeah. Have you read that one, Alex? Or picked that one up at all?
I have it. I've read it, some of it. Again, it's just beautifully written. He writes some of the greatest prose I've ever encountered, to be honest. Like, if I could emulate someone in a writing style, it would be him. But I can't say much more about it than that.
All right, guys. I think I need to go to bed.
Alrighty. Well, this was fun.
Thanks, Doug. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I it's weird. I enjoy having something. I mean, I'm still doing other media intake during the book club period, but at the same time, it's kind of the thing that follows me through the whole season. So I
think it's great. I think you should keep it up and don't let the books die out, because there's just as much to learn from books as there is from TV and stuff.
There's something that the time you spend with a book is different than. I guess it's similar if you were watching a series that has a lot of episodes. That's a different thing, where you're watching a few hours every night. When you have like 10 seasons to get through. That's a similar feeling as a novel in some way.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, well, thank you, and I'll let you guys know when this is done and what it looks like and all that.
Cool.
Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys take care.
Until next time.
All right. Bye-bye.
Later, Alex. Bye.
Dream, baby, dream. Dream, baby, dream. Dream, baby, dream. Dream, baby, dream. Forever. Keep them dreams burning, baby. Keep them dreams burning forever. Oh, dream, baby, dream. Dream, baby, dream. baby, dream. Oh, baby, gotta keep them dreams burning. Keep them dreams burning forever. Oh, dream, baby, dream. Dream, baby, dream. Dream, baby, dream. Dream, baby, dream. Oh, dream, baby, dream, baby, dream, baby, dream, baby, dream, baby. Oh, dream, baby, dream. Oh, you keep that flame burning, babe. Yeah, you gotta keep that flame burning forever, baby. Dream, baby, dream. Yeah, come on, baby, keep that dream burning. Yeah. Forever and ever. Forever and ever. Oh, dream, baby, dream. There's the dreams that keep you free, baby. Yeah, you gotta make them dreams come true. Oh, keep them dreams burning, baby. Yeah, keep them dreams burning forever. Oh, dream, baby, 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 forever and ever. Oh, forever and ever. Oh, dream, baby, dream. Dream, baby, dream. Dream, baby, dream. Dream, baby, dream. Oh, dream, baby, dream. Dream, baby, dream. Yeah, I see that smile on your face, my baby. Yeah, you got the idea now. Yeah, it's your dreams, you know. Yeah, it makes you free, baby. Yeah, you gotta make it happen, you know. Yeah, I know you are. I see that smile.